So what I'm going to do for you in this video is share with you the 5 most important things with regards to maintaining a long-term relationship. And what you'll tend to find is that if these 5 things are missing or weak in a relationship, it's not a question if the relationship will end, it's when the relationship will end. These 5 things are super important. So let's get into the video. My guess is that every guy watching this video at this moment in time is probably nodding their head in agreement because let's be honest, sex is super important. And it ain't just about busting a nut. When you have sex, your brain releases feel good chemicals. You're actually bonding. You could say sex brings you closer together. But here's the problem, especially with regards to long-term relationships, is that sex drives can change and this can cause big problems. For example purposes, right? Let's say you've got a couple and this couple met in the 20s. And when they met, they was at it like rabbits. And a big reason as to why this is because both of them at that time had very little responsibilities and very little stresses in their life. So they could make time for each other. Fast forward though 10, 15, 20 years down the line, this same couple now has kids. The guy is working super long hours and is in a stressful job. She's working part time, but she's also stressed as well because let's be honest, being a mum isn't easy. In this situation, the solution to their problem is that they might need to make more time for each other. And I'll be talking about this in the next point. But before I do that, it's also worth mentioning that lifestyle issues can be a problem. If you're not taking care of your physical and mental health, sex might not even be a priority. If you're super stressed all the time from work, when you come home, you just want to chill out and relax. Sex isn't on your mind. Also, as well as you age, a man's testosterone levels tend to drop. So if you're not lifting weights, eating the right foods, and doing and sleeping properly and doing all that good stuff, these things can affect your sex drive. Do you see what I mean? It's really tricky because there's lots of things that can potentially cause problems. But if you're somebody who's interested in learning more about increasing your sex drive, I've done a video talking about this in more detail. And what I'll do for you is put a link in the description so you can check that video out. When I'm talking about FaceTime, I'm not talking about getting out your phone and getting on a video call. I'm talking about alone time, just you and her. So no kids, no friends, no other family members, no work, no screens, just you and her alone. So think date nights and just hanging out with each other. It's kind of like dating like you was a teenager again. So think going out for meals together where it's just you two alone. If you really want to keep it cheap and simple, it could be as simple as just getting your hiking boots and going for a walk somewhere. It doesn't have to be expensive. A lot of people neglect these things, or a lot of couples neglect these things because, like I said earlier, responsibilities can sort of take over your life. And sometimes it's just out of pure complacency. Some couples think because they've been together for so long that they no longer need to do these things. But the analogy that I like to use is that to keep a fire going, you have to constantly attend to it. A relationship is no different. You have to make time for each other. You both have to carve out time out of your schedules where it's just you two alone. That way you can bond and connect. And this leads me perfectly onto the next point, and that is communication. This really continues on from FaceTime because you could say that sex and good communication is the glue that holds people together. It's about open and honest communication. And what you'll tend to find with a lot of couples is that the conversations are quite shallow. They're not as deep as they need to be. And this isn't me saying that you need to be Mr. Serious all the time and not have a laugh and let go. Of course not. You have to do those things as well. But there are times where serious conversations need to be had. For example purposes, let's say you're somebody who's self-made and is financially well off, and you've done this all by yourself, and you meet a girl and she's talking about marriage. You might need to discuss prenups. It's not it's not the most romantic conversation. She's probably going to be a little bit pissed off, but you might need to have that conversation. It's about being open and honest. If that's how you feel, if that's what gives you security going further into that relationship, that's a conversation that you need to be having. Another example might be let's say you met a girl who was super fit and athletic when you first got together, and let's say you've been together for a while, and you could say she's got a little bit too comfortable and put a little bit of weight on. She stopped exercising basically, and this pisses you off, but you don't say anything because you don't want to hurt her feelings. So what ends up happening is that you end up resenting her. This could easily have been nipped in the bud if you had an open and honest conversation with her and told her how you feel. She isn't a mind reader. And obviously with conversations like this, you have to do it with tact and grace. It's not about attacking the other person. You have to be considerate of her feelings. But you get the point. Bad communication, or should I say a lack of communication, can cause big problems further down the line. I'm pretty sure you'll agree with me when I say this, and that is once trust has gone, it can be difficult, sometimes impossible, to fully rebuild. The analogy that I like to use is that it's kind of like trying to pour concrete under a standing, sinking house. Good luck with that. We're talking foundations here. Even with one night stands and friends with benefits, if there is no trust, there is no comfort, there is no sex. It's as simple as that. And let's go back to long term relationships, even with open and honest communication. To have open and honest communication, you have to trust the other person. She also has to trust you. Do you see what I mean? If there is no trust, there is no relationship. I'm just going to be straight up with you. Don't deal with women that disrespect you. Make that a non-negotiable rule. Because once disrespect starts creeping into a relationship, it often escalates because they've learned early on that they can essentially get away with it. I'd actually argue that it's way, way better to be respected than it is to be loved.